No, my people. Obviously, you want pineapple on it. It's not our people.
And my go-to is cheese and pepperoni, but pineapple is delicious. So the only time you don't like pineapple on pizza is because you've probably never even tried it.
It's sacrilegious.
Have you tried it?
It's sex.
That's
I haven't tried Satan either, and don't plan on anytime soon.
You cannot compare Satan to pineapple on my pizza.
It actually kind of is. Welcome, everybody, to Lionz Den, episode 28. Again, my name's Eddy. We have a special guest again, and Danny.
Danny here.
This is Alex.
So today we're going to talk about the concept of majority rules. This interweaves in a lot of stuff. Again, we really try to stay away from politics. It definitely comes into play in the conversation. So we'll be as level as we can be, continuing the conversation. But, we seem to be having a more and more difficult time understanding the concept of majority rules. So we'll talk a little bit about that and why it's effective, why it works. Also known as democracy. So it's a word we like a lot. So we'll kind of go through the basics. A lot of times when I talk to people about, especially when it comes to politics, people kind of understand the broader view of it. It gets a little more difficult as you get a little more fine tuning with it. But the concept is pretty simple. So we're all hungry right now. We're going to order a pizza. I want cheese and sausage. I'm a cheese and sausage guy. Danny's a cheese and sausage guy. Alex, because he's weird, wants pineapple on it.
I'm going cheese and pepperoni. Am I eating a pineapple and Hawaiian pizza if it's in front of me? Absolutely.
I rest my case.
All day.
I rest my case. So democracy is... Alex makes a compelling argument on why pineapple will be delicious. And he presents his argument. Hey, it's sweet. So go ahead. Considering you eat the disgusting stuff, go ahead and pitch me on it.
On what? On pineapple on my pizza?
Yeah.
Well, it's got pineapple, it's got delicious marinara, and it's got delicious ham, Canadian bacon.
Okay.
All three of those and cheese. And it's pizza.
All right, so that's just offensive to my people.
Our people.
No, my people. Obviously, you want pineapple on it. It's not our people.
And my go-to is cheese and pepperoni, but pineapple is delicious. So the only time you don't like pineapple on pizza is because you've probably never even tried it.
It's sacrilegious.
Have you tried it?
It's sex.
That's
I haven't tried Satan either, and don't plan on anytime soon.
You cannot compare Satan to pineapple on my pizza.
It actually kind of is.
No. So you've never tried it.
So I can guarantee
7 years of our friendship, busting my chops on pineapple on my pizza, and you've not even had one close enough to smell on a warm pie.
No.
And you're giving me a hard time for it. Dan, you eat pineapple on your pizza?
I have.
And did you like it?
I did.
Okay, well, my vote's going to be for you to come back the next time on the Lionz Den.
So here's
democracy, baby.
Here's democracy. So
pineapple on pizza is, I like pizza.
Yeah.
So
I love pizza.
Pizza's delicious.
Anything on pizza is good.
Yeah.
For the most part. Except like sardines and shit like that.
I'd try it, though, because
I would not.
I like pineapple on my pizza.
So from our democratic debate and majority of rules, we go up and order a pizza, I'm ass out. We're going to have pineapple on it. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's essentially how it works. Mm-hmm. You talk about it, you state your views on it, you have dialogue like we just did, which I lost, obviously, evidently.
You're eating pineapple.
I'm freaking eating pineapple.
Yep.
And what's the reason why that works is twofold. Either I'm going to eat it and please, my ancestors, forgive me. I'm going to be like, oh my God, that's delicious. I've never had that before.
You would.
I'm going to get pineapple from now on.
Well, you technically didn't lose the argument because I wouldn't order a pizza with pineapple on it.
I would. So yeah, I guess maybe.
But if it's there, I would definitely eat it.
Got it. But, like I said, I may taste it, find it's delicious, or I'm going to taste it and think it's terrible, which is the more likely scenario. And the next time we have this discussion, I'm going to have a more compelling argument.
Right.
I'm going to come up with a better way to make my argument of why the hell I don't want pineapple on my pizza.
That's fair.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, that's basically democracy. So that's how we're supposed to work as human beings. That's how we're supposed to, go in, especially our politics. That's just, and the reason why that happens. So a dictatorship is screw you, Danny, screw you.
We're getting sausage.
We're getting sausage.
Yep.
I don't care what you like. That's what I want on my pizza. What we've learned through human evolution is you guys don't feel so great about that decision. You feel like, well, WTF, I wanted pineapple. Eddy didn't give a shit about what I wanted, just got what he wanted. You'll eventually revolt.
Yeah, we're throwing hands.
There you go. So we're fighting over it. Or you're just going to be like, screw him, I'm out. Let's go get pineapple and Eddy could go eat his sausage.
Right.
So we've learned, through evolution of mankind that this is why that works.
Right.
Because the alternative is the other, which has inevitable results. We've seen it throughout history, time and time again. Dictatorships just do not work. Somebody's going to feel left out. Somebody's going to feel, that they're singled out. They don't have a voice in it. They're not living the lives they want to live, so on and so forth. So, we know for a fact that doesn't work. The democracy works because everybody feels they have a say in it. Everybody plays a role in it. What we seem to be missing is twofold. So the monkey wrench into that is in the midst of that conversation, I pull out some bullshit. So Danny's on the fence. Alex is making a compelling argument for pineapple. And I say, Danny, did you read recently that pineapple causes cancer? I know you're curious about trying it. Is it really worth dying for? Do you want cancer? So now you're just lying about shit because you can't make a compelling argument about it. Now, again, that's been going on for centuries in some form or another. It's reached a ridiculous level, obviously, more recently. And again, this obviously has political connotations, but it's in our everyday lives too, because our leadership is a mirror of us as people.
Yeah.
So what they're showing is because that's where we're at as people. We can no longer have discussions with each other and present a good, compelling argument or have a good case, discuss things, come to a happy agreement. Everything is, I'm right, you're wrong, that's the way it is. So you go that dictatorship route or you go misleading or false information.
Right.
So you're bringing things to the conversation that are inaccurate.
Well, and there should be a third option of just agree to disagree, which I don't know in the last 5 years, 10 years, 5 years probably, when that fell off. I don't agree with you.
Yep.
Let's go hang out. Let's go have a pizza. Hey, dude, you want to get one large? You can get one half sausage. I'll get half pepperoni or half
or compromise.
Pineapple. Right.
Compromise.
Yeah, it's just, that's kind of what I mean with the third option. It's agree to disagree or a compromise.
I don't think that's an option anymore.
Right, because it's so vindictive that I don't agree with you that I have to take it to an extreme where, well, you're an idiot or that's stupid. I don't want to do this. You can't just be like, all right, cool. Well, we'll just not go do that then. Let's go get some wings. You like buffalo wings? Yeah, I like buffalo flavor. All right, let's go get some wings then. That just doesn't happen anymore.
No, definitely. And that's definitely why we're talking about it and kind of where we're going with it is what happened to that diplomacy, what happened to that being able to compromise, being able to formulate a discussion, being able to formulate your point of view without being dismissive, offensive, any of those type of things, because again, if the majority is there, it doesn't always mean, by the way, a majority is right. I mean, we've had several instances in our country and our world where majority thought one thing and somebody made that compelling argument and ended up being right. The crux in that is you have to have that compelling argument. You have to be able to discuss things and talk about things that is going to resonate with somebody where they're willing to look at it from a different angle, or they can say, you know what, I've never had that, but I just tried it and it was delicious. Because then what happens is called this beautiful thing, evolution. We evolve as human beings, and my brain goes, oh, you know what, that last time I refused to try it and it ended up being great. You know, maybe this is also great. Maybe I'm also willing to try this. Maybe I'm also willing to try that. And we've come so close-minded to all those things. And then also, I'm right. The other beater to that is cheating. So, you know, cheating is, let's do, you know, I mean, it'd be pretty obvious in this case, there's three of us, but we put in all our votes in a hat, and I count them, and I say, yay, no pineapple.
I wrote pineapple down.
Now, in this case, it'd be pretty easy to figure out, because Alex could be, hey, did you vote pineapple? Or I voted pineapple, you know I'm full of shit.
Right.
You know, that's the other thing that seems to be the case now. We're cheating. And I will tell our listeners, I'm not going the route you think I'm going to go. So, you know, our previous election has been, I don't know how many cases brought against it. Nothing was found.
Right.
You lost. So that's not my decision. I made it crystal clear in the past. Not crazy about either party. Not super crazy about anybody that's been up for election. I take that back. There's been some people in the past that I've liked, but your team lost.
Right.
So what's supposed to happen at that point in time is you regroup, you get together, and you know, the reality of it is that party, speaking of Republicans, you've lost the popular vote in every election since I think 1999, whatever that was, 98, with Gore and Bush. The only one you won was the second one with Bush, and I'm talking general overall votes.
Right.
Definitely have won electoral votes, talking about overall votes.
Right.
Usually what's supposed to happen in a majority rule society is you regroup, you have those discussions. Hey, people are with us on this, and this, not so much this.
Where do we make adjustments?
What are we willing to compromise? What are we not willing to compromise? And you find that happy medium. You know, what I've seen with both political parties is just inflaming both. You know, each side just kind of inflames what's known as their base. And then you have no give whatsoever.
Right.
Meanwhile, majority of us that are kind of caught in that middle, we're like, hey, I don't agree with everything on this side. I don't agree with everything on that side. I'm kind of in the middle. Nobody's there with us.
Right.
And we don't have a voice. Nobody's speaking for us. Nobody's coming from that point of view.
Right.
And it kind of puts us in the position we're in now where, I mean, there's not a day, 2-3 days I don't go by that there's some new study of how close we are to civil war and all this other freaking nonsense and how much we hate each other and all that. And, you know, that's really coming from the fact that we're forgetting how diplomacy works. We're forgetting how majority rules works. And we're making up excuses when it doesn't work.
Right.
And the second fold of that is so I come from my whole life, if I win, I want to win.
Right.
I don't want to win because you're injured. If I'm in a boxing match, I don't want to win because you came in with a broken hand.
Right.
I want to win toe to toe. I'm at my best. You're at your best. Any sport team I've ever played, I never wanted to win that way.
Right.
Any argument, I don't want to win that way. I want everybody at their best. You know, we're getting to a point where we're like, we want as little people to vote as possible because, we know less people vote, the more that we win. And to the beginning of this conversation, that's what starts inflaming all that stuff, because now you're silencing people, and we're coming up with all kinds of reasons to do that, where people feel like they can't make their voices heard. You know, so I know it's very broad.
Yeah.
I don't know what you feel about that, Alex.
I mean, what drives me the most nuts probably with people today is you can use political, we can get off of it, you could use whatever it is. If your football team, if they lose, whatever the case, it's over with. So how long are we going to hear about XYZ team losing to this team and for how many years? So it's over with. So are we going to hate each other till the next generation that we name millennial, Gen Y, Gen Z, until they're old enough to not even know it existed? Is that when we stop hearing about it? Or when do we just move on? And like you said, the majority is not always right. Mm-hmm. So the only way that there's a checks and balances system in this is if you do exactly what you said. So if you're a football team and you lost to another football team, you go back and you regroup.
Yep.
So how do we come back better
next
next week? We're not practicing right now as a society at all. We're striking on the sideline with pickets. I'm not going back to practice until this is resolved. Mm. And I'm not talking about a certain situation. So sure. People that are listening and thinking I'm pinpoint on one subject, I'm not. I'm talking about every facet of our life. As human beings, not every human being, I feel like we're done practicing. We've taken a time out with recent events, COVID, the Wade versus Rose stuff, everything that's been going on, mm-hmm. major things. There's so many people talking about the things that are going wrong, and I don't feel like there's a lot of people on the actual field practicing. I think everybody's striking. They're crossing that picket line. You ever seen the movie The Replacements, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody's striking, waiting to cross. And I just don't know what that solves. I don't know what that brings. I don't know when the end of that comes, right? Because I think as we start navigating through that and we get back to just going back to practicing as a society, I think things start getting better. It goes back to what we were talking about previously. If you compromise or you agree to disagree, that doesn't mean that you can't sit in the same room with that person.
Right.
And I don't know where or what started that,
Danny?
So I feel like compromising doesn't mean that you lost. You're just figuring out an alternative to make both parties happy.
Completely agree.
So, and it depends on the system as well. Because some people get comfortable, which I'm guilty of. Mm-hmm. I've definitely gotten comfortable with certain situations to not say or speak up or act on how I feel. But I just feel like it's more people need to be heard. And then, like I said, not everything, majority rules doesn't always mean it's good, like you said.
Right.
But there has to be a median, and that's for every situation, whether it's huge or small.
Definitely.
Median is a huge part in humanity, and it seems like it's been lost in recent years. Well,
and I think the people that, so it could be the flip side too. You could be allowing it to happen to yourself too, right? Like as a person, like so me talking about how I don't like that people don't come together. I'm recognizing the fact that people aren't, but I'm not part of the solution until I start doing it myself. Mm-hmm. So, I can't expect other people to want to hash things out if I can't even speak it. Because what if that person's waiting for me to bring it up?
Definitely.
So if we're not as, whatever the case is, if it's a relationship, a team, political things, if you're not making the effort to reach out and have that conversation, it's never going to happen. If you wait for problems to fix themselves, they never do. Never. I have never seen a car dropped off at a car mechanic's place and sit on a lift with no mechanic working on it and the car come back and it's fixed.
Right.
Like there's nothing wrong. It takes effort.
No, definitely. And I think Danny hit on the head. You're 100%. I mean, compromise does not mean you lost.
No,
compromise is understanding that in this part of our evolution, we can take it to this point. And then you kind of see how that works, and then hopefully you're able to push it further. And it always comes down to making that compelling argument, to be able to discuss these things, make a formidable point of view where people stop for a second and say, you know what, that's a good point. I didn't really think about that. Thank you for bringing that to me. And we're just getting so far away from that where either we're being deceitful about it, I don't want to hear anything you have to say. This is the way it is. And then we have people on both sides that are playing to that, hoping that, well, if I get enough of those, then now I have the majority and I get my way. Everybody else can kiss my ass.
Right.
Which is as close as you can get to a dictatorship within a democracy, which is playing to your base.
Yeah.
Both sides. And I don't care what the way anybody else feels, this is the way it's going to be.
Right.
And to your point, we're seeing that with a lot of things. I mean, there's a couple we know with Roe versus Wade where the majority rules is. Mm-hmm. So the reality of that is majority of people, pretty overwhelming. I haven't seen any new statistics, but last time I saw it was upwards 60% agree with a woman's right to choose. Mm-hmm. So anybody who's against that, you haven't made a compelling argument enough to change that majority, which means you just have to reformulate. Doesn't mean you're wrong. It means that you haven't found the way to have that discussion to change that viewpoint of other people. And in that example, we just said, you know what? I don't care how other people feel. This is the way it's going to be. Mm-hmm. Which again, you get into that dictatorship mode, which again starts inflaming. Assault weapons, there's overwhelmingly people are for, stricter background checks. Overwhelmingly people for a lot of things, magazine capacities, all that type of stuff. And again, in all those things, we haven't made a compelling argument enough to say, well, we want to have these ARs, we want to have these magazines where you're winning the majority of viewpoint, yet those things don't change. And the more that starts to happen in any given society, the more feelings are going to get inflamed. In that vein, the big reason I really wanted to bring up this subject is when it comes to faith. We have just lost that compelling argument.
Right.
People are no longer, a lot of people, I read it a couple episodes ago, I don't even remember, it was upwards 90% of people believe in God, and then once it kind of starts falling down to religion, you start seeing huge drop-offs. And, my concern is, with all these things we're talking about, be it, the person that wants their AR, I own one, by the way. So I'm not speaking for or against it. If somebody wants to come pick up my AR, give me some of the money back because it's going to kill less kids, it's not that important to me.
Right.
I honestly could care less one way or the other. It's not, a ride or die situation for me. And I don't think it is for most people. I think what it really comes down to is you're violating my Second Amendment right. You're trying to dictate what I can do and what I can't do, 100%. So on and so forth. With the Roe versus Wade, it's you're taking human life, you're committing murder. So anytime you get in that type of core stuff that is really at the heart of your belief system, that's kind of where you inflame that. And I completely understand that. I understand both sides, however you feel one way or the other. My concern is we're not evolving to come up with those compelling arguments to one way or the other. We're just kind of repeating the same shit over and over again. So I should have the right to choose. It's my body. You're committing murder. You suck. Back and forth, back and forth. Nothing's moving the bar. There's no growth. There's no evolution. There's no compromise, as to Danny said earlier. It's just the same shit over and over again. Right. My concern comes to, when it comes to our faith, and religion is religion to me. The point of Lionz Den isn't to convert you to Christianity or Catholic or this or that. It's to hopefully open you up to the idea that there's a higher power, there's a higher source that is there for you, that created you, loves you, is going to be there through every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
My concern is that that's getting drowned out because, again, majority rules isn't being respected. So us as Christians are not saying, you know what, we're doing a really shitty job of selling this. So when we're in sales, that's like us saying, I don't really care if you like it or not, you're going to buy it.
Yeah, so we...
Again, we're throwing hands.
Exactly.
90% of people, let's say that's... You said you didn't remember the number exactly, right? So let's say...
It was high. It was super high.
Yeah, so let's say it's 90%. So 90% of people believe in God. We had 14 views on the last 2 episodes that we ran. Sorry, I should have waited till you stopped drinking.
Our non-YouTube subscribers almost spit my water out.
Yeah. So 14 views. We had 28 views in 2 videos. We're talking about some pretty good shit. Mm-hmm. Like, it's good content. I'm not sitting here telling you if you don't believe in God, you're going to fucking hell. It's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how I've used my faith. I mean, the very synopsis version of it is how I've used my faith to guide me through my life, trials and tribulations. Mm-hmm. So things that I've done well and things that I've really, really screwed the pooch on, and how I've used my faith to navigate it and what that's looked like for me. Mm-hmm. So 90% of you people believe in God. And the person out there laying butt-ass naked with his ankles pointing to the sky and a firecracker shooting out of his booty, and he's got 1 million views. I got 14. I got 14.
It's more important.
So where I... Stop. You get me all wound up. Where I'm going with it is... so 90% is questionable to me. Now, I'm not saying that that's not the statistic that's provided. So what do people believing in God is? So when somebody asks me if I believe in God, well, yeah, of course I do.
I think it's more situational.
Well, 100. So that's exactly where I'm going.
Because if everything's going good, then you don't think of anything. It's just going good. It's when shit goes bad, then you're like, damn, where's this guy?
You're on your knees real quick.
Yeah, where's this guy at? Why is he not here?
Without a doubt.
And just real quick, in fairness to the survey, I think it might have been questioned, do you believe in a higher power?
Okay. So
that might have been the one that was up in the 90s.
So, perfect. Our podcast, we talk about higher powers.
Mm-hmm. We are a higher power.
Right. Easy.
I like it.
I like it, but take it easy.
Danny coming in hot.
Take it easy. With
us, it's 90% of people to say I believe in a higher power, and I get it. We're in this 6 months. I'm not that naive. The point that I'm trying to make is there's plenty of content and opportunities to be a good Christian, good Catholic, a good human being, because if you believe in most higher powers, you believe in making the world a better place than you left it, or than when you found it.
Oh, for sure.
So it's a serious question. Out of those people that believe in a higher power, I'm very intrigued to know what that looks like for them, right? Because the things that we talk about that we struggle with, I don't think people do maliciously. So I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this without sounding like a dick. I think it's confusing for me because people say that, hey, 90% of us believe in something that guides a path of leaving this place better than we found it, yet we're perfectly okay fixing a sporting event, or we're perfectly okay lying in a situation because we want to better our own personal needs, right? And that's where the devil comes in. But I don't get how people can claim that, hey, I'm working towards a better place when you're not, right? I don't know.
I mean, I think I can answer that because they believe in it. They have no direction to get there because we suck at it.
Well, and I guess that would be my question of...
I mean, Christians right now, we suck.
Yeah, that's true.
This is my point of this entire conversation.
Yeah.
We are not doing a good job
of showing what it means to be a Christian.
What it means to be a Christian.
And I guess that's probably where I was going with it.
We're not showing what it means to have, hey, I have baseline morals that are based off my God, my Savior, Jesus is my teacher, love my fellow man, be there for them, turn the other cheek. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of unbelievably incredible things that Jesus stood for. We're doing a completely shitty, horrible, horrendous job of being ambassadors to that. So I think people... I inherently, and I've said this before in this podcast, I know there's a God.
Right.
I think we all do on some inherent, because it's a soul level, it's our creator. So I think on some inherent level, we have that feeling like, man, I really believe that something is there. It's just once you start to ask those questions, that's when that shit comes up. Well, if there is, why does this exist? Why does that exist? Why are people like this? Why is this? And then when you're looking at the people that are supposed to be the ambassadors to that, so be it Christians, be it Muslim, be it Buddhism, any faith, and I'll leave those guys out of it, but especially, I mean, Christianity and Muslim is your two most popular religions. Muslim will probably pass Christianity, soon. I've known many Muslims in my life. I mean, they will go to the grave saying this is a book of peace.
Right.
When we think of Muslim, is that what we think of? No. We think of September 11th. We think of Al-Qaeda. We think of terrorism. We think of all that stuff.
Right.
Which, same thing for the Muslims. The people that are claiming their religion are making their religion look bad.
Correct.
That's obviously the extreme of it.
Right.
We are doing the same thing within our faith as Christians.
We preach perfection.
And we don't show any of it.
Right. So we preach perfection. And so I'm Christian, I'm Catholic. I'm a Catholic. Man of God. I sin all the time. Make that crystal clear. Okay.
That makes two of us.
Right.
That makes three of us.
Believe in a higher power. I'm a sinner. Ladies and
Absolutely.
gentlemen, I'm tapping on the mic. I'm a sinner. The Catholic Church does not do a good job of making it known that that's okay. That it's okay. So get behind me, Satan. Jesus said it to Peter, one of his most trusted followers. It doesn't mean get the hell out. We talked about it last episode. It's proof is in the pudding. You can be somebody that isn't perfect and be a Catholic. It's about striving to be a better person, about making people's lives better than what you found it.
I think the trick, though, to that, so the church the church is a house. It's not.
Correct.
We're the ambassadors of it. The same thing with our democracy. Our politicians are the ambassadors to that.
No doubt.
When I talk to people from out of the country, those are the people they think of. Holy shit, really, dude? This is what you guys got going over there?
Right.
They're representative of what that's supposed to be.
Correct.
And what my feeling is, we're not, because we're failing to understand the majority of the rules of what that really means.
Correct.
Us as Christians aren't stepping back and saying, you know what, wait a second. So why is that? The very question you posed, why are there that many people that are looking for that higher power, that are hoping for that, believing in that, not coming into a place that was supposed to be the soul level of that.
Right.
The place to be.
The place to be for that. And the reason why they're not is because of all this bullshit.
Right.
So I'm right, you're wrong.
Right.
As you said, you're a sinner, you're going to go to hell.
Right.
If you don't believe in Jesus, you're going to go to hell.
Right.
So again, common sense brain stops for a second. We talked about this a couple of podcasts ago. So guy in Timbuktu on some island in the middle of nowhere, never heard of Jesus in his life, is going to hell because he doesn't accept Jesus as a savior because he's never heard about him as long as he lived.
It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
It's completely, it's diabolically
asinine.
nuts. Yep. But this is the face that's always getting put on our faith.
Yeah, I can't fathom how that would be acceptable.
Right.
And we say that, I guarantee you, in fact, any of the listeners out there, the 18 of you that are going to listen to this.
14. We're not up that high yet.
14.
Sorry.
I'll get us 6 more.
Yeah, there you go. Danny's going to boost us.
Yep, there we go.
Pull up Truth About Christianity, and if you don't, within the first 10, get somebody telling you that you're going to hell if you don't believe in Jesus Christ, 2 of you guys could kick me in the nuts, and I'll put it up on YouTube under Lionz Den. So I'll put that out there.
You're on recording, and I'm not re-recording this one.
You're going to get some crazy nonsense.
Yeah, no doubt.
Without a question.
And again, it's the way we represent ourselves. The whole point of the Lionz Den was to show a better representation of that, is us saying exactly what you just said. We're sinners. Mm-hmm. We've made mistakes. We've made bad decisions in our lives. We're far from perfect, but we do believe in God. Mm-hmm. And we do want to grow. We do want to get better. We do want to evolve. We also want to sympathize, have compassion, have understanding, have those things that we were taught to have.
Right.
Are we always there? No. Absolutely not. think you talked about your road rage in the last podcast.
Yeah.
That's not what Jesus would do.
Jesus would not have tried to step out of his vehicle to get the other guy to step out of it. It's just, I get
that
it.
is not Christian.
100%.
But a human Christian can say exactly that.
Yep.
That decision was wrong. And I know it's wrong.
Yeah.
And it's not Jesus who taught me that.
No.
Jesus taught me the opposite of that.
It'd be a personal decision.
It's a personal decision.
Yeah.
The problem is these people are claiming these are Jesus's words. Scarier, claiming these are God's words. God hates you if you're this. God hates you if you're that. You're doing this or that. And the populace is seeing that. The majority is seeing that. And they're saying, you know what?
Right.
I don't want nothing to do with that shit.
Right.
I'm going to have my belief system. I'm going to think what I want to think. You know, I feel there's a higher power out there. I want nothing to do with that. And again, it's the point of this conversation is we're doing a shitty job of representing what it means to be a person of faith.
And I feel like I'm guilty of that because I'm Catholic, but I'm not preaching to anybody to be Catholic. If you believe what you believe in, I'm okay with it.
So I honestly don't think there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
As long
And I don't
as,
either, but there's people who would like to disagree.
As long as you're not passing that judgment,
Yeah.
so it's the passing the judgment. If for you right now in your life, you're at that personal point where I have my faith, I have my religion. That's not, I'm not evangelizing right now. That's not where I'm at. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No.
But to the point where we even had you on here, you're a great guy. You got a big heart. You're very kind. You're always positive. You're always upbeat.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking from the corner and I say, well, what's up with these Christian guys? And you just said what you just said. I'm a Catholic. At least you're representing yourself.
Right.
At least I look at you and say, you know what? Hey, that's not too bad. I kind of like how that guy's presenting himself.
Yeah.
I'll take that all day long.
Yeah.
Over the big mouth that's telling everybody how they should be a Christian and how they need to convert and all this, and you're living a foul, shitty life.
Yep.
So
Yeah, especially because of the fact that you said, what did you say? You know, if other people don't believe in it and they want to do their thing, I'm good with it. So because Catholicism is preached as you don't believe in God, you're going to hell. So you're
well, no,
what?
that's what people say it is.
Well, I'm talking about the betrayal. So for you to say, hey, believe in God, all the things he just talked about you being positive and upbeat, and somebody hears you say that, and then on top of it, I really don't care what you believe in. What you just told that person is, hey, especially if you're breaking bread with them, having a beer with them, what you believe in doesn't change this. Okay?
Agreed.
This is who I am. This is who I believe in.
I like you as a person, not. I mean, I guess belief does play a role.
Sure.
But it's definitely situational. And I think, and that goes back to what we were talking about earlier about like the waiting room and the ARs. Like, I think everything gets thrown into the same pot and it's viewed equally.
No, agreed.
When it's not the case.
100%.
An argument about AR and an argument about a person wanting to get an abortion because of something that they had no control over happened are two different things. And people can't filter out the two.
Right.
Because I think it comes down to that party, and really, especially, feel like their rights are being jeopardized. Now, I think if you talk to majority of people, like let's say are pro-abortion, they're not going to be, hey, I'm pro-murdering babies. I can guarantee you're not going to have that conversation. It's going to be this happened, that happened, all of that. And which, by the way, the good argument to that is more responsibility, be more aware, protection, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
And I completely understand even in the midst of all that stuff happens. Yeah. But that's my problem. And we did talk about this kind of a couple episodes ago, quite a few episodes, is formulate a better argument.
100%.
So instead of telling you you're garbage because you want to perform an abortion, why don't I tell you, you know what, I have 4 different organizations I know of that will help you through your pregnancy, that will care for the child, and then find a loving family for your child.
You got to play your X's and O's.
For sure. And I just, with all of this type of stuff, we are so far away from that And we're forgetting that majority rules for a reason. And we talked about this at the beginning of this, is it works because it's democratic. It's me listening to you, understanding your point of view, and understanding that you guys want pineapple on your pizza. I don't.
Right.
But I'm going to respect you as human beings, and you're the majority. Next time around, either I'm going to find out I love it, which great, or I don't, and I need to formulate a better argument against it the next time around.
Right.
The point of being, either way, it makes you a better human being. Either I found something that I never knew I would like, and great for me. This is delicious and addition to my life.
Which it is, by the way.
We'll find out maybe someday.
You said it on recording. You got to try it.
Or I learned to formulate a better conversation, how to discuss my point of view better, which makes, and anytime to do that, you got to stop for a second and say, oh shit, he came back with that and I didn't really know how to respond to that. And it also makes you look at how important something is to you. For you to is it even worth having that argument? Is it even worth having those discussions?
It depends on the situation.
For sure. And again, I don't think any of those things are registering anymore.
No.
I'm right, you're wrong. This is the way it's going to be. Do it or don't care. And
it's emotion and
I'm going to lie my way to it, I'm going to cheat my way to it, I'm going to misrepresent my way to it,
yeah.
Or I'm going to find enough people who agree with me and get my way one way or the other.
Yeah.
And then it's funny that we're wondering why our kids are like that. Mm-hmm. Why the younger generations, spoiled, want to do their own thing, all this other stuff. Because, again, that's what we're representing as adults.
Starts at home.
Yeah. No doubt about it.
It's emotion and ego. People, people can't have a conversation and have somebody come back with a compelling argument because that requires them to pull the emotion and the ego out of it and just look at the fact. I mean, you could take some of the most badass war fighters this country's ever seen, somebody who's lived, grew up, worked their entire life with a weapon in their hands. Mostly probably have arsenals at their house. And if you walked to them and formulated a plan and you said, hey, listen, we're going to take all the ARs. We're going to take all those combat weapons away because it's going to save people's lives. But when we do it, this is the guarantee that you'll never have to worry about needing one ever again. That we can guarantee you a peaceful world. I bet you all those guys are a peaceful country. I bet you all those guys are like, oh, yeah, all right.
For sure.
Here's the gun. I mean, it's just we're not okay with even listening to that argument. And I'm not, so I have guns, right? So I'm not arguing it one way or the other, like you said. Multiple, like a couple ARs, a couple hunting rifles. The whole point of it is I love guns. I love shooting them. I love customizing them, buying them, selling them. But if you came to me, I would still listen to an argument of why I don't need them.
Absolutely.
Because it's being a human being. And that's what we're not okay doing. I love the movie John Wick. I'd love to think that one day somebody's going to break in my house and all these skills that I don't obtain are just going to magically snap into my body.
And steal your dog.
Yeah. And then on top of it, somebody's going to be around with a video camera so I could prove it to my buddies that it happened.
All right.
But I've got one, and I think people need to remember that that's just a fantasy. So be okay with it. And I'm going back to the guns as an example, but it's any conversation, any disagreement. You don't know. And if you know me, you hear this analogy a lot. I use it with my sales team. You never hit the ball you don't swing at. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with conversations and relationships. You never mend a relationship and you never get on the same page with somebody that you don't try to,
No, agreed. Was there anything else you want to add, Danny?
I mean, just back to going to majority rules, I'm all for it, 1,000%, as long as it's not life-threatening. Mm-hmm. Like pizza, 1,000%. Majority rules. Going skydiving.
If the majority of us say we're
majority that say I'm going skydiving, I'm out.
You're making a stand.
I'm out.
Which is fair.
Yeah. Daryl, that's a pointed, directed comment right at you, bro.
You don't have the majority anyway.
No.
So, as long as my life isn't in danger, and I feel like it should be like that for most, as long as it's not a live or die situation, try it.
Absolutely.
Try it. It's not going to hurt you.
Yeah. Amen to that.
And if it does, then now you know not to do it.
Mm-hmm.
No, and again, I think that's the exact point is, formulate one, experience it. Hey, people I love, people I respect, this is what they think. Mm-hmm. I'm outnumbered on this one. I'm going to try it. And then if I don't like it, I'm going to formulate a better discussion about it. I'm going to formulate a better argument about it. And maybe the next time I'm the one that is able to assemble the majority and change people's minds and make an impact. But that's such a part of our, being a human being is supposed to be that evolution, that common understanding, that common ground, especially as someone of faith. I mean, that's our bedrock. Our bedrock is you guys are, everybody out there is our brothers and sisters. So I have to respect you as a human being. I have to respect you as a son, daughter of God. It's not like you were created by somebody different than me. That's your baseline of faith. So I'm going to listen to you, and I'm going to respect the fact that you have an opinion. Does not mean I'm going to agree with it. Does not mean that I'm going to think you're right, but I'm going to respect your point of view. And if there's majority of you that feel that way, then it is what it is.
Right.
It's my job to formulate a better conversation where of making valid points where you say, you know what, I see where you're coming from. I didn't really look at it that way. Or accept that fact. Because again, the more you, just like the football you mentioned earlier, the more you practice, eventually you're going to get better.
Yeah.
And you are able to change those tides. We can't keep cheating or living in a bubble or ignoring each other to get to that place.
Right.
So. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I mean,
100%.
One last thing I'd like to throw in kind of off subject. I made a joke earlier about the 14 people that were listening to it. The people that are listening to it, we do appreciate it, even if it is only 14 of you. And the point of me bringing this up is there's a couple of you out there, and you know who you are, that are going above and beyond for it.
Absolutely.
There's a few of you out there that are going above and beyond, sharing this, posting it, talking about it. We appreciate it.
No, and in fairness, a lot of people are tuning into the podcast,
Yeah.
not necessarily YouTube.
Absolutely.
I get it. This isn't the most compelling format.
Yeah.
It's four guys BSing at the table, but we appreciate everybody that does
They're all
it.
good looking though, so I don't know why the views aren't there.
Yeah.
I
I'm
agree.
surprised YouTube's
We're
not
going
a
to get the
little
bounce
higher.
now.
Yeah,
Let's get bounce up with Dan.
Yeah, that's right. We got Danny on.
But thank you everybody for tuning in, and
thank you.
again, let's just be a little more open to other people's ideas and opinions, especially when it's a majority of people's ideas and opinions.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.